they want to make a run at the A-Sun. They know what these games mean for them, and they're going to come out here and battle today and see what they got, but it's about getting better each rep.
Buckeyes are in their all-blacks tonight with Detroit Mercy in their all-red kits, and we are off and going the opening face-off here at Ohio State. Buckeye starters, as they hold the ball down in the offensive end, include Matt
Jr. come downhill with no help. They must not like their D-middies very well.
Jack McKenna scores his 6th goal of the season, and we are off and rolling as the Buckeyes win another face-off. For Detroit Mercy, they'll go out there on the attack with Aiden Bishop.
It's taught to match your stick, so you do have to get them to move a little bit to open up that shot opportunity.
Goal number 4 for Caputo this year as the Buckeyes win.
Similar to what we saw here. It was an opportunity where, the Buckeyes are aggressive. They're big, strong. They're going to feel like they can get after Detroit. So if you can beat them with some quick ball movement, by all means.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the answer.
Is that a fast answer or what?
Did not take long to answer that.
6 seconds between goals. Ohio State 3-1. Wow.
Yeah, right off the face-off. That's something that, the Detroit Titans will not – they can't allow that. They're going to have to figure out a way to manipulate. Even if you have to concede the face-off, it's like, having your pull come up and, back up your face-off guy a little bit. But those fast breaks right there are tough.
Marinier with his 12th of the season. So Ohio State.
Some people have some farm team development, some great coaches down in there, and unfortunately, yeah, those guys do get plucked off, and that's what we're seeing now. He may develop some talent out of Michigan, and quite frankly, might score 35 goals and put himself out on the shopping block, next at the end of the season.
When it's probably a weird thing to say, like, hey, that's part of my
like, yeah, I designed that. Man up just improved a percentage or two.
Sure you did.
Take whatever you get.
I don't know about you. I'd rather be lucky than good every single time.
Putting the sophomore.
And a couple of losses back-to-back to Michigan. So they lose a lot of upperclassmen and have to kind of hit the reset button a little bit. And this year obviously got off to a great start with 4 straight wins, but 3 consecutive losses, 2 of whom were to teams that were in the Final Four last year. So, again, not shying away from really high-level opportunities. Ready to start the second quarter in Columbus. Ohio State 7, Detroit Mercy 1. Brendan Gulick and Bear Davis with you in what was a Buckeye-dominant first quarter. The men in all black tonight here on their home turf, where they've largely played pretty well at night in the brief history of the Grove City Wolverines, right? I remember that. I think that's correct.
That I cannot answer.
I'm pretty sure. And on top of that, it's just totally like in the back of my memory. I think they're red and white.
That part is true.
Grove City Wolverines in the President's Athletic Conference.
Yeah, they had a club team for a long time, and then they went varsity and really hit the ground running. The Buckeyes want to do is slide toe. Sitting at 5'8", 165 pounds. Looks like he's built, strong, like in shows it in that dodge right there. And the last thing the Buckeyes want to do is slide toe pull. So they're going to put them on the island and say, hey, if we have to slide to you, that's going to be a problem, especially in their conference in the Big Ten.
Buckeyes have now lost
8-3, and we talked about this earlier. For those who are watching, we had the great pleasure of doing a women's game earlier, and a little lopsided affair with Marquette, but discussion about where do you want to be at halftime if you're Detroit. If you're down 4 goals, you're like,
sure.
Hey, we're kind of in the mix. Like we're striking distance. We want to stay striking distance, and 5-6. The end zone view is great for us to see some spacing, and that's something that Coach Myers is going to go back and say, hey, guys, we got to make sure we have a little better here on this left-hand side. Gives him a great opportunity to get that little time and room shot.
Only 4th game of the season for UDM, so you're not going to see too many gaudy season totals, but a 2-goal game for Sean Donahue.
Remember how we discussed earlier why the Ohio State women didn't sub out early in their game?
That's why.
It might have been a little dose of what we're seeing now. Why they didn't. More guys than they do, so eventually they can't rotate. They can't keep up with your rotation, and that's the goal of it. But it does take extreme discipline in the stick work and the spacing and all of that to make it work. And where he was, not just one but two, and that just sets up for the like I said earlier, the goal is 36 square feet. The more you can work towards the middle of it, the bigger it gets. He had 12 seconds to make it big.
That's the best answer Ohio State's had in a little while. Is that Jack Oldman? Face off,
Yep.
get off.
Jack Oldman.
Unless you get a chance.
Hill Academy product right here.
How about that? So Jack, who's basically in just on face-off, saw the opening, stepped up the field, found one into the back of the cage.
Well, if you're going to get your first one of the year, that was the right time. He's definitely going to make another push here.
We got a pretty good ball game going on with 15 minutes to play. Ohio State 11, Detroit Mercy 8. If you've just recently tuned in, I'm Brendan Gulick along with Bear Davis. Ohio State led this game 8-1. Gave up 5 unanswered goals, and it has been sweaty palms time for the last.
Like that, he gets his hands so high, snaps it low. Whew, tough read. We're within 2. Who would have thought?
Ohio State has lost 3 in a row after a 4-0 start. Detroit Mercy hasn't won a game yet this year. They're 0-3, having played obviously 4 fewer games than the Buckeyes. They don't look like a team that hasn't had the same opportunities or
had some patience with that shot. Good placement. Richter's been making saves all night. He just buries that right over in the top corner.
Well, the Buckeyes needed.
Doesn't get that opportunity.
Ohio State wins another face-off.
And McKinnick takes advantage of that. Feel like the strength conditioning program and the depth and everything might be starting to come alive here for the Buckeyes. As long as they just have to see the ball from up top, he's making those saves. Now when the ball's coming from behind and he's on his turns, they seem to be a little bit more difficult for him to save. So they might have found something that works for him. They definitely finding a rhythm in the faceoffs too. If he gets ace on freshman of the year. Unfortunately, he might be looking for the big bucks, this guy. They're all looking for the big bucks now, to try out. But that's what,
It's the state of the world.
Chris Coleman, he says, look, he's a local product, probably flew under the radar, comes out here on the big stage and performs for sure.
His 13th assist on the goal, number 37, Justin Scherer.
Yeah, what a both teams got something to take from this Tuesday night matchup. Like I said, Brendan, these Tuesday night games are tough. I mean, your starters are trying to get to a place where they can, allow some of the bench to get in there. And Detroit's just, the bad boys